Welcome to this incredible journey that you're about to embark on. We're here to explore something that only a very small percentage of people ever experience: the highest stage of spiritual awakening. This isn't your typical self-help video. No, this is something much deeper, something that will shake the foundation of who you think you are. If you're watching this, you might already feel it, the subtle pull towards something greater, something more profound. But how do you know if you're really close to reaching that elusive 1%? How do you know if you're on the brink of spiritual awakening?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
First, let's talk about what spiritual awakening really means. It's not just about peace, enlightenment, or the absence of suffering. It's about a transformation so deep that it changes the very core of your being. It's a state where the ego dissolves and you begin to see the world as it truly is. Not through the filter of your thoughts, your emotions, or your past experiences, but through the lens of pure awareness. But here's the thing: awakening isn't always comfortable. In fact, the closer you get to that ultimate state, the more intense things can become. It's a paradox: the deeper you go, the more you have to confront. And that brings us to the first sign that you might be nearing the highest stage. You no longer feel at home in the world as it is. The things that used to matter to you, the material possessions, the social status, the endless chase for success, start to lose their grip on you. You begin to see that they are all part of the illusion, the Maya that keeps most people trapped in a cycle of desire and suffering. It's not that you hate the world or want to escape it. It's that you recognize its transient nature, its impermanence. You start to feel like an outsider, someone who is no longer tied to the dramas and stories that consume most people's lives. But this can be disorienting. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything you've ever believed in was just a dream. How would you react? Would you cling to the dream, or would you let it go? That's the question you'll have to answer as you move toward awakening. And here's the kicker: the more you try to hold on to the old ways of thinking, the more you'll feel like you're being pulled apart. It's as if the universe is asking you a simple but profound question: are you ready to let go? Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It's not about abandoning your responsibilities or retreating from the world. Instead, it's about releasing the tight grip you have on your identity, your beliefs, and your expectations. You start to realize that none of those things define you. You are not your thoughts, your emotions, or your past. You are something far greater, something timeless and infinite. And that brings us to the second sign: you start to feel a deep sense of inner peace, even in the midst of chaos. This isn't the kind of peace that comes from external circumstances. It's not about having everything go your way or avoiding challenges. No, this is a peace that transcends all of that. It's the kind of peace that arises when you realize that everything is exactly as it should be, even when it doesn't make sense to your rational mind. But this peace can be unsettling at first. Why? Because it forces you to confront the fact that you've been living in a state of resistance for most of your life. You've been resisting reality, trying to control it, trying to bend it to your will. And now, as you approach awakening, you're being asked to surrender, to trust, to allow life to unfold without interference. Can you do that? Can you let go of the need to control everything? That's the next big question that arises on this path. And the answer isn't always easy. The ego doesn't like to surrender. It wants to hold on, to fight, to assert its dominance. But the closer you get to awakening, the more you realize that the ego is just another illusion. It's not who you truly are. And once you see that, a profound shift takes place. You start to experience life from a place of pure awareness. You become the observer, the witness of everything that happens, without attachment, without judgment. This is the third sign that you're nearing the highest stage of spiritual awakening. You begin to see that everything is interconnected, that there is no separation between you and the world around you. The boundaries between self and other begin to blur, and you start to experience a deep sense of unity with all beings. But this unity isn't just a concept or a belief. It's something you feel in your very bones. You start to see the divine in everything, in every person, every tree, every cloud, every moment. And this brings with it a profound sense of compassion. You realize that everyone is on their own journey, and that we're all just doing the best we can with the level of awareness we have. But here's the paradox again: as you experience this unity, you also feel a deep sense of aloneness. Not loneliness, but aloneness. You realize that, at the deepest level, you are the only one here. You are the universe experiencing itself through the form of a human being. And this realization can be both liberating and terrifying. Are you ready to face that truth? Are you ready to embrace the fact that you are both everything and nothing at the same time? As you move deeper into this state of awareness, something remarkable happens. The old you, the one who was obsessed with achieving, with proving, with controlling, begins to fade away. In its place, something new is born. A being of pure presence, pure awareness, pure love. And this is the final sign that you're about to reach the highest stage of spiritual awakening. You start to live from a place of love, not fear. You start to see that love is the very fabric of the universe, the force that holds everything together. But this love isn't the romantic love that most people think of. It's not about attachment or desire. It's a love that is unconditional, boundless, and infinite. It's a love that embraces everything, even the things that seem dark or painful. Because in this state of awakening, you realize that there is no good or bad, no right or wrong. Everything is just part of the dance of life, and you are both the dancer and the dance. So, as you sit here listening to these words, I want to ask you, are you ready? Are you ready to let go of everything you think you know? Are you ready to step into the unknown, to embrace the mystery of existence? Because that's what the highest stage of spiritual awakening requires. It requires a willingness to surrender completely, to trust the process, to allow life to guide you. As you continue on this journey toward spiritual awakening, the theme of surrender becomes even more crucial. When we talk about surrender, it's not the kind of defeat that we might associate with giving up in the conventional sense. No, this is a different kind of surrender, a radical acceptance of what is. It's a moment when you stop fighting against the flow of life and instead allow yourself to be carried by it. You see, the ego thrives on resistance. It wants to control, to shape, to mold reality to fit its narrow view of how things should be. But the closer you get to the highest stage of awakening, the more you realize that this control is an illusion. Here's the paradox: the more you try to control, the more disconnected you feel. True freedom comes not from control, but from letting go. But how do we let go when the ego is so deeply embedded in our identity? How do we release that grip when we've spent our entire lives building up an idea of who we think we are? The first step is awareness. You begin to notice the patterns of the ego. You start to see how it reacts to certain situations, how it craves validation, how it fears rejection. But you don't judge it. Instead, you observe it with compassion. You start to see the ego for what it really is: a set of conditioned responses, a collection of thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that have been programmed into you over time. It's not the real you. It's just a mask you've been wearing. But here's the shift: once you become aware of the ego, it starts to lose its power over you. You begin to see that you are not the mind. You are the awareness behind the mind. And this is where the real magic happens. The moment you truly realize this, you experience a profound sense of freedom. You no longer identify with the thoughts and emotions that arise. You see them as clouds passing through the sky of your consciousness. They come and go, but you remain the same, vast, infinite, and untouched. This is the essence of transcendence. You transcend the ego, not by fighting it or trying to destroy it, but by seeing through it. You realize that the ego is nothing more than a shadow, and shadows cannot survive in the light of awareness. And once you've had this realization, something remarkable happens. You start to experience life from a place of pure presence. But what does it mean to live in pure presence? It means that you are fully here, fully alive in this moment. You're no longer lost in thoughts of the past or worries about the future. The mind may still generate those thoughts, but you no longer get caught up in them. You see them for what they are, just mental noise. And in this state of presence, something incredible begins to unfold. You start to experience the world as it truly is, without the filter of the mind. Have you ever had a moment where you were so fully absorbed in the present that time seemed to disappear? Maybe it was while watching a sunset, or listening to a piece of music, or simply sitting in silence. In those moments, there was no past, no future, no sense of I. There was only the experience itself. That's the taste of pure presence. And as you move closer to spiritual awakening, this state of presence becomes your natural way of being. But here's the challenge: the ego doesn't want to give up its throne so easily. Even as you start to experience moments of presence, the ego will try to pull you back into its web of thoughts and stories. It will create distractions, doubts, and fears. It will tell you that you're not good enough, that you're not ready, that you need to do more, achieve more, be more. But here's the truth: you don't have to do anything to reach awakening. You don't have to achieve anything. Awakening is not something you can get by effort. It's not a prize you win after years of spiritual practice. Awakening is already here. It's already within you. It's the deepest part of who you are. The only thing standing in the way is your identification with the ego, with the mind. And once you see through that identification, awakening naturally unfolds. So how do you navigate this tricky terrain? How do you stay present when the ego is constantly trying to drag you back into its drama? The answer is simple, but not always easy. You practice. You practice staying present. You practice observing the mind without getting caught up in it. You practice letting go of the need to control. And over time, something shifts. The moments of presence become longer and more frequent. The pull of the ego becomes weaker. And eventually you find yourself living more and more from that place of pure awareness. But let's take a moment to go deeper. What does it actually feel like to live from pure awareness? Imagine this: you wake up in the morning, and instead of immediately getting lost in thoughts about what you need to do that day, you take a moment to just be. You feel the weight of your body against the bed, the cool air on your skin, the sound of birds outside your window. You're not thinking about these things, you're experiencing them directly, without the interference of the mind. As you move through your day, you continue to stay present. When you're eating, you're fully aware of the taste, the texture, the sensation of the food in your mouth. When you're talking to someone, you're fully present with them, listening deeply, without getting lost in your own thoughts or judgments. When challenges arise, you don't react from a place of fear or anger. Instead, you respond from a place of clarity and peace. This is what it feels like to live from pure awareness. It's not that life becomes perfect or that challenges disappear, but your relationship with life changes. You no longer resist what is. You no longer get caught up in the drama of the mind. You experience a deep sense of peace, even in the midst of chaos. But here's an important question for you. Are you willing to let go of the need to be right? Are you willing to let go of the need to defend your opinions, your beliefs, your identity? Because as you move deeper into awakening, you'll start to see that these things are just constructs of the ego. They're not who you really are. And the more you cling to them, the more you stay trapped in the illusion of separation. This brings us to another key aspect of awakening: humility. As you begin to see through the ego, you also begin to realize how much you don't know. You start to see that life is far more mysterious and vast than your mind can ever comprehend. And with that realization comes a deep sense of humility. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself or assert your superiority. You no longer feel the need to be right all the time. Instead, you become open to the unknown, open to the mystery of life, open to the possibility that everything you thought you knew might be wrong. And this openness is where true wisdom arises. It's not the kind of wisdom that comes from books or intellectual knowledge. It's the wisdom of direct experience, the wisdom of being fully present with life as it is. And as this wisdom deepens, you start to experience a profound sense of gratitude. You see that every moment, every experience is a gift. Even the challenges, even the pain, are part of the unfolding of your awakening. So the question I want to ask you now is this: can you embrace the uncertainty? Can you let go of the need to have all the answers? Can you trust that life is guiding you, even when you don't understand where it's taking you? As we continue our exploration of this profound journey, we reach a place where one of the most beautiful and liberating realizations emerges: the flow of life. At this stage, you begin to understand that there's a natural rhythm to everything, a divine, effortless flow that carries you through life when you stop trying to swim against it. But this isn't just a concept or philosophy. To live in the flow of life requires a total shift in how we engage with reality. When we talk about the flow of life, what do we really mean? It's not about passivity, nor is it about blindly following whatever happens. Instead, it's about aligning ourselves so deeply with the present moment that we become one with the unfolding of life. In this state, you move as life moves. There's no resistance, no push, no pull, just an effortless dance between you and the universe. But here's the catch: the mind, especially the egoic mind, is constantly trying to resist this flow. The ego wants control. It wants certainty. It wants to know what's going to happen next. It wants to feel safe by trying to predict and dictate the future. But as you approach the highest stage of spiritual awakening, you begin to see the futility of this approach. Life is unpredictable, ever-changing, and full of surprises. And the more you cling to control, the more you feel disconnected from the flow. So what does it mean to live in the flow of life practically? The first key is trust. Trust in life itself. Trust that every event, every experience, every challenge is a part of your growth. This trust doesn't mean you stop making choices or become passive. It means you stop resisting the outcome. You take action when action is needed, but you let go of the need for things to turn out a certain way. You trust that whatever happens is exactly what needs to happen for your highest evolution. Let's dive deeper into this. Imagine you're facing a difficult situation. Maybe it's a conflict at work, a relationship issue, or a health challenge. The mind naturally wants to analyze, fix, and control the situation. It wants to strategize its way out of discomfort. But in the flow of life, you take a different approach. Instead of reacting from fear or anger, you pause. You take a moment to connect deeply with the present moment. You feel into the situation, not just intellectually, but with your whole being. You ask yourself, what is life trying to show me here? What lesson is being offered? And then you listen not with your mind, but with your heart, your intuition, your inner knowing. This is where the shift happens. Instead of resisting the situation, you open to it. You allow it to unfold without needing to control it. And in that openness, you find a deep sense of peace. It's not that the challenge disappears, but your relationship to it changes. You're no longer fighting against life. Instead, you're flowing with it. And in that flow, solutions often arise effortlessly. The right people, opportunities, or insights come to you, not because you forced them, but because you allowed space for them to emerge. But here's the deeper question: can you trust life even when things don't go the way you want? Can you trust the flow even when it feels like everything is falling apart? This is one of the hardest aspects of spiritual awakening. The ego wants things to be easy, comfortable, predictable. But life, especially as you approach the highest stages of awakening, often challenges you in ways you never expected. It pushes you to let go of your attachments, your expectations, and even your identity. And this can be incredibly uncomfortable. But it's through this discomfort that true freedom is found. Freedom doesn't come from controlling life. It comes from surrendering to it. It comes from recognizing that you are not separate from life, you are life. The mind creates the illusion of separation, the idea that there's you and then there's the world out there. But in the flow of life, that illusion dissolves. You realize that you are part of the whole, an expression of the same universal energy that moves the stars, grows the trees, and beats your heart. This brings us to the ultimate realization: you are not the doer. The ego believes it's in charge, that it's making things happen. But as you awaken, you start to see that everything is happening through you, not by you. Life is living itself through your form, through your thoughts, your actions, and your experiences. And when you fully embrace this, you find an incredible sense of ease. You no longer feel the need to push or force things to happen. Instead, you become a vessel for life to express itself. You move with the flow, and in doing so, you experience a profound sense of freedom. But let's take a moment to pause and reflect. Can you let go of the idea that you are the one in control? Can you accept that life knows the way, even when you don't? These are not easy questions to answer, especially when we've been conditioned to believe that we need to be in control to be safe. But here's the wisdom that comes from awakening: true safety doesn't come from control. It comes from trust. It comes from knowing that, no matter what happens, you are always held by life. And this leads us to another profound realization: as you surrender to the flow of life, you start to experience synchronicity. Events start to line up in ways that are almost magical. You meet the right people at the right time. Opportunities arise seemingly out of nowhere. You find yourself in the right place, at the right moment, without even trying. This isn't a coincidence, this is the flow of life at work. When you stop resisting and start aligning with the present moment, life moves through you with grace and ease. Now let's go even deeper. Living in the flow of life also means embracing uncertainty. The mind craves certainty because it equates certainty with safety. But as you move toward awakening, you begin to see that uncertainty is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. Why? Because uncertainty is where infinite possibilities exist. When you let go of the need to know what's going to happen, you open yourself up to the vastness of life's potential. You step into the unknown, and in doing so, you allow life to surprise you in ways that the mind could never predict. But here's the question I want to ask you now: are you willing to embrace the unknown? Are you willing to step into the mystery of life without needing to have all the answers? Because this is where the real adventure begins. The highest stage of spiritual awakening is not about reaching a final destination. It's about living in the mystery, with an open heart and a quiet mind. It's about being fully present with whatever arises without clinging to the past or projecting into the future. This brings us to the final and perhaps most profound aspect of awakening: love. As you let go of the ego, as you surrender to the flow, as you embrace the unknown, something extraordinary happens. You begin to live from a place of unconditional love. This isn't the kind of love that depends on others or external circumstances. It's not about romantic love or attachment. It's a love that arises from the very core of your being, a love that is boundless, infinite, and unconditional. This love is the essence of who you are. It's the fabric of the universe itself. And as you awaken to this love, you start to see it everywhere. You see it in the people around you, in the beauty of nature, in the challenges, and even the pain. You realize that everything, every experience, every encounter is an expression of this love. And in this realization, you find the deepest peace, the deepest joy, the deepest freedom. So as we come to the end of this journey, I want to leave you with one final question. Can you live from this place of love? Can you allow love to be the guiding force in your life, even when things are difficult, even when the mind resists? Because love is the ultimate truth. It's what you've been searching for all along, and it's what you already are. When you reach the highest stage of spiritual awakening, you realize there's nothing to reach. There's nothing to strive for. You are already whole, already complete, already free. The journey was never about becoming something else. It was about remembering who you truly are. So are you ready to let go? Are you ready to live in the flow of life, to surrender to the unknown, and to embrace the infinite love that you are? Because this is the highest stage of spiritual awakening, and it's available to you right here, right now. Thank you for being on this journey with me. Remember, the path to awakening is not linear, and it's not about achieving some final goal. It's about living fully in each moment, with an open heart and a quiet mind. The signs are there. The flow is there. The love is there. All you have to do is let go.